Irreversible. Imagine a trap so massive, ingeniously designed, it could take down a colossal mammoth.
For decades, discoveries like this one posed a profound question. We knew our ancestors hunted these giants.
The physics seemed impossible. A 2-ton beast, 10 feet tall at the shoulder, covered in a thick armor of hide.
50,000 years ago, this was their kingdom. A world of ice, ruled by giants. And in this kingdom of giants, our ancestors were a minor player. Physically outmatched in every way, they survived on the fringes.
The first clue, the weapon. A perfectly crafted spear point, found lodged in the bone.
But the evidence presented a puzzle. A single spear, even a well-aimed one, was like a pinprick to a beast of this size.
The answer was not in the bones, but in the earth itself. Sophisticated scanning revealed a ghost in the ground.
And in that moment, the entire story shifted. This wasn't just a kill site. It was an engineering project. What we are uncovering is not just the story of a hunt, but the story of the first great engineers. The discovery of the anomaly changed everything. The focus shifted from the victim to the crime scene itself. The team...
They dug with surgical precision, peeling back the layers of time. Every change in soil color, every different texture.
And then, the first undeniable sign. A clear line in the earth, the cut of the pit. This was the edge of the ancient hole.
Every sample was collected, every dimension measured. The ghost on the radar was slowly taking on a physical, measurable form. Deep within the fill layer, at the very bottom of the ancient pit, they found something else. Not stone.
And in that moment, the theory became a certainty. This was not just a pit. It was a weapon. They found another and another. A hidden forest of spears, arranged in a grid of death.
With the data gathered, they could finally reconstruct the trap in its entirety. A pit, over 6 feet.
The evidence was undeniable, but it opened up an even bigger question. This was the what?
Fells. To understand how they built it, we must leave the world of science and travel back in time to the world.
To understand the how, we must first understand the why. For our ancestors, driven by desperation, they set out to attempt the near impossible, a direct, conventional hunt against the giants of the Ice Age.
They were masters of the stalk, their knowledge of the land and their prey honed by 1,000 generations.
Their attack was swift, coordinated, and powerful. Their weapons, the pinnacle of their technology, were unleashed with deadly force.
But it was not enough. Their sharpest spears, their greatest courage, were no match for the sheer, raw... Direct confrontation was suicide. This was the ruined in blood and bone.
They returned not with food, but with a loss that cut deeper than any hunger. Their strategy had cost them a...
The failure haunted him. He understood, in that dark moment, that their approach had to change. They could not
And then, a new thought. A revolutionary idea. What if the weapon was not the spear and...
It was a leap of imagination. A plan of impossible scale and ambition. It was the dawn of Ice Age engineering.
The plan was ambitious, almost unimaginable. To dig a grave for a giant.
Their first and most formidable enemy was the Earth itself, frozen solid by the relentless grip of the Ice Age.
But where brute force failed, their minds found a way. They fought the frost with fire, turning the elements against each other. Every piece of bone from a past hunt, every shard of rock, became a new tool, repurposed by the Turin. It was a community effort of incredible scale, a relentless assault on the Earth, day after grueling day.
The work was brutal, relentless. It tested the limits of their bodies, but it could not break their collective will.
Every obstacle was met not with despair, but with adaptation. The unmovable rock was not a barrier. And always, they were watched. Their massive project made them vulnerable, a fixed point in a moot. The progress was slow, agonizing. A single foot of earth, a victory won against a mountain. They were not just digging a hole. They were digging a new future for their people.
The Great Trap was a promise for the future, but the hunger was a demon of the present.
The great work on the pit could not stop. But a small party had to break away to seek a smaller, quicker kill.
This was a different kind of hunt. A test of their traditional skills, their speed, and their silence. But in a starving world, competition was fierce. They were not the only hunters on the prowl. The great cave lion, a new, deadly calculation. To challenge the lion was to risk everything. Their only option was to...
The lion struck with breathtaking speed and power. The hunt was over in an instant. A kill was made, but it was not theirs. But a single lion with a heavy kill is vulnerable. This was their chance, not to fight the lion, but to outsmart it. A calculated risk. A diversion, a distraction, and a lightning-fast theft. It was a heist, not a hunt.
They escaped with their prize, a victory of cunning over claw. They had stolen fire from the gods of the hunt. Their cleverness had bought them another meal, another day. But it was not a solution. It was a...
With food in their bellies and their strength returned, the clan came back to their great work.
The pit was now a grave, but every grave needed its teeth. They ventured into the forest to harvest a forest of their own.
They felled giants with fire and stone. A slow, patient, and brilliant process of destruction.
Each log was sharpened into a fang, a wooden dagger the size of a man, ready for the giant that would fall upon it.
The journey of each stake was an epic in itself, a testament to their incredible cooperation and their shared, desperate vision. As the pit grew deeper, their ingenuity grew with it. They created systems, machines of muscle and hide.
The two halves of the weapon were united, the grave and the fang to be placed within it. Their vision was becoming a reality.
Now came the most dangerous phase, a delicate, deadly ballet of lowering tons of sharpened wood into a confined space. Their primitive technology was always at the edge of failure. Every step of the process, a dance with death, a test of their nerve.
The first tooth was set. A single wooden fang in a jaw of earth.
Day after day, week after week, the back-breaking labor continued. Each felled tree, each sharpened siddles.
Every stake was a weapon, crafted with care. Fire, their ally in digging, now served to harden and sugars.
The dangers were constant, both from above and below. The unstable earth, the plummeting logs, every moment.
In moments of fear, their community was their strength. A shared meal, a gesture of support, reinforcement. The very pit they dug for death sometimes offered a meager refuge from the wrath of the Ice Age itself. Every bone, every scrap was transformed into a tool. Their resourcefulness was born of necessity. The great maw in the earth grew deeper, wider. A wound in the earth, destined to capture.
Nature itself fought back.
Every scoop of earth had to be moved, and then moved again. Their strategic foresight and their sheer endurance.
Finally, after weeks of monumental labor, the pit was complete. A silent, dead... The pit was a masterpiece of brute force and deadly intent. But its true genius would lie not in its...
They sought a different kind of wood. Not the hard, unyielding timber of the stakes, but the young, flexible...
They gathered hundreds of these fragile branches, the bones of the illusion they were about to create.
This was the most dangerous phase of the construction, a delicate, nerve-wracking process, performed over a chasm of sharpened wood.
They wove a fragile web of wood, a skeletal floor strong enough to hold the snow, but weak enough to betray a giant. The skeleton was given a skin, a dense mat of grass and twigs, meticulously woven. Every stage was checked, every weakness assessed. Their own lives depended on the perfection of their deadly art.
And now, the final deception. To erase their work from the world.
No detail was too small. Every twig, every blade of grass was placed with the cunning of a master hunter, the eye of an artist.
The engineering marvel was complete. A monumental effort, now rendered utterly invisible. The pitfall trap was a masterpiece of concealment. But the leader knew that a panicked herd was unpredictable. He envisioned a second stage. The pit was designed to wound, to break a leg, to slow the beast. They found the perfect location for their second trap. A narrow passage, a bottleneck where a mammoth's size... And there, as if provided by the spirits of the hunt themselves, nature had already provided the weapon. Another monumental effort began. A battle not of digging, but of leverage and gravity. A struggle to position a giant to slay a giant. It's over. The deadfall trap required a different kind of strength, a different kind of material, the tensile power of woven fiber.
Hand over hand, they wove their trigger, a rope strong enough to hold back a titan, and smart enough to release it at the perfect moment. Their engineering was always tested, its strength proven against their own combined power. In this world, there was no room for a single weak link.
This was not brute force, but fine mechanics. The art of the trigger, a complex puzzle of wood, tension.
The components were ready. A puzzle of death, waiting to be assembled high above the unforgiving stone.
The final assembly began. A puzzle of immense weight and delicate balance, where one single slip meant certain death for anyone below. The linchpin of their entire deadly mechanism. A single, fragile piece of wood, designed to fail at the perfect moment.
The rope was attached with painstaking care. This was the link between the world below and the sky above.
They lowered the tripwire, a silent, patient snake waiting in the shadows of the gorge, its one bite promising a crushing death.
It was stretched taut across the path of the beast, an almost invisible line between life and a crushing, instantaneous end. The wood screamed under the immense pressure, a hair's breadth from catastrophic failure.
It held. Their calculations, born of instinct and observation, were correct. The physics of their primitive machine was sound.
The final touch. The trigger, now a ghost, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the footfall of a giant.
The deadfall was armed. A silent, wooden guillotine, waiting patiently in the heart of the frozen forest. The great traps were set, masterpieces of ingenuity and labor. But an engine of death is useless without fuel. They could not afford to wait idly. Survival in the Ice Age meant exploiting every opportunity, no matter how small.
A successful snail, a crucial kill. Not a feast. The meat was a lifeline, a fuel for their patience. It was a bond, a shared commitment that held their... The leader watched and waited. His patience was the final and most crucial component of their great trap.
They rehearsed their symphony of terror, honing the sounds of chaos, preparing their psychological weapons for the day of the great hunt.
Colossal. And in an act of profound faith, they prepared not just for the hunt, but for the victory. Sharpening the final briefing, the entire audacious plan committed to memory, a map of their destiny drawn in charcoal and hope. And then, after weeks of waiting, the signal.
The great herds were on the move!
The wait was over. The great hunt, a culmination of all their hopes, their fears, and their...
They set out, not just as hunters, but as a coordinated force. A thinking, breathing weapon, ready for war. The hunt began not with a chase, but with a deep, intellectual understanding of their prey's journey.
The pack split, each hunter with a role, a position. A complex plan, years in the making, now set in motion.
The beaters moved like ghosts, a long, silent march to position themselves at the very back of the giants. The killers took their position at the end of the trap, their spears a silent, waiting promise of death. And the leader watched from above, his eyes the mind of the hunt, coordinating every piece of the deadly puzzle. The giants grazed in peace, oblivious to the web of human intellect that was tightening around them. Their final and most powerful weapon, patience. They waited for the perfect and then the signal. A silent command sent across the valley to begin the
first beat of the drum. The first note in a symphony of terror. The great drive had begun.
The symphony of terror was unleashed. A jarring, unnatural rhythm designed to shatter the herd's courage and break its will. Against this new weapon of sound, there was only one instinct: run. The herd's discipline shattered into pure terror. From the ridges, fire joined the assault. A pincer of fear, closing in on the giants, leaving them only one path.
In the heart of the stampede, there was only blind terror. A chaotic, unstoppable river of flesh and bone.
They became a moving wall of fire and focused fear, a relentless pressure on the heels of the massive giants, giving them no time to settle. But the wall of fire held firm. The beast's rage was met with a courage born of desperation and discipline. Sound from behind, fire on the flanks. The herd had only one path to run, a path designed by their enemy from the very beginning. From his high perch, the leader conducted his symphony of terror, every piece moving in perfect, deadly harmony. The giants entered the gully, the walls of the trap closing in around them, their fate now all but sealed.
And in the shadows of the gully, the killers waited, their spears a silent promise of the death that was to come.
The giant ran, blind to the human ingenuity that lay hidden beneath a fragile layer of snow and leaves.
The moment of truth. Fire flashes of sticks and human hope. The earth opened its jaws. The first great trap was sprung.
A thunderous crash. The colossal beast plunged into the trap, its panicked screams echoing through the valley. The herd scattered in chaos, their leaders' fall turning their panicked flight into a maelstrom of confusion. Impaled and enraged, the pit, a cage of pain, held the giant captive, but it was far from defeated.
The trap's success was undeniable, but the sound of the beast's fury was a reminder of its terrible, dying power. One trap had sprung, but the great hunt was not over. In the chaos, the leader saw a chance for us.
They pressed their advantage, using the herd's own panic as a weapon once more, driving them towards the final act. They drove the panicked survivors from one trap directly into the jaws of the next, even deadlier machine. Driven from one trap, the survivors ran blindly into the jaws of the next, a corridor of stone leading to their doom. Above, the hidden architects held the fate of the giants in their hands, their focus absolute, their timing critical.
A single, fragile vine, a masterpiece of primitive physics, was the linchpin of their entire, audacious strategy.
The trap is sprung. A single touch, unleashing a world of pain and crushing force from above.
The trigger fails. The delicate balance is broken. Gravity, their silent and most powerful ally, is unleashed. From above, a wooden mountain falls, a final, crushing blow from the clever, patient apes. The deadfall finds its mark. The giant is felled. The hunter becomes the hunted in an instant. The gorge became a killing ground, a pileup of panic and desperation, blocking all escape for the doomed.
Their plan had worked beyond their wildest dreams. A cascade of success, a bounty unimaginable. 2 traps, 1 hunt, a half-dozen giants felled.
The culmination of their ancient... The deafening roar of the hunt subsided, replaced by a silence of awe. The impossible had been achieved.
The first giant still clung to life. A final, dangerous act remained, to ensure the kill and claim their prize. A dangerous descent into the maw of their own making. The final, respectful blow, bringing an end to the giant's suffering. The long nightmare of hunger was over. A flood of relief, gratitude, and the overwhelming promise of survival. The bounty was beyond their wildest dreams. A profound gift from the frozen earth, a testament to their genius.
The scent of blood would bring other hunters. The clan worked quickly, raising a wall of smoke and flame, protecting their hard-won prize.
A moment of profound connection, of gratitude. The greatest hunt in living memory. A shared victory against the unforgiving Ice Age.
The work, though joyous, was still immense. The first marks on a bounty that would sustain them for seasons, perhaps years.
The sun set on their greatest triumph. The long, arduous work of harvesting their bounty had only just...
A new era of prosperity had begun. Their audacious gamble had paid off, securing their future in the heart of the Ice Age.
The great processing began at dawn. The first step, to remove the mammoth's armor, a hide so thick.
This was a work of specialists. The men provided the power, but the women, with their finer tools and detailed knowledge...
To breach the giant's ribcage, another feat of engineering was required. A simple machine of...
No part was wasted. From the youngest to the oldest, every member had a role. The children learned their first lesson.
Hour after hour, they toiled. The colossal giants slowly yielded their life-giving bounty, a mountain of...
The tusks, the white gold of the Ice Age, were a prize of immense value, extracted with a combination.
But the scent of their success traveled for miles. It was an open invitation not just to the hyenas of the night.
A new threat, a new response.
The clan's defensive strategy was not a single plan, but an adaptable, intelligent system. They had learned from their prey. From the bones of the mammoth, they had fashioned a new defense, a weapon of crushing power to match the cat's own.
The standoff began. A silent war of nerves between two of the Ice Age's greatest predators. The standoff was a battle of calculations. The cat's power against the clan's numbers.
The great cat descended, not in a blind rage, but with a cold, intelligent purpose. It was testing their form, but they did not meet the test with fear. They met it with a new, audacious strategy. They did not just defend, they threatened.
The cat hesitated. This was not the behavior of prey. This was the behavior of a rival, a competitor it did not understand.
And the king of cats retreated.
The challenge was met. Their victory over the mammoths had given them not just food, but a new power, a new place in the world. With the site secured, they returned to the harvest, claiming every piece of their colossal prize.
And in the archaeological record, we find the stunning results of this new age of resourcefulness.
This simple extension of the arm, often crafted from the very bones of their prey, was a quantum leap. The great hunt had not just fed them for a week, it had armed them against the entire winter. For the first time in their... With food security came a population boom, and with it, the need for new homes. From the bones of...
With time and a full belly, their minds, once consumed with survival, turned to art, to beauty.
The story of the Great Hunt became a lesson in strategy, and art became their textbook. The knowledge of how to think. They no longer needed to gamble their lives on giants. Their new technology, born from the mammoth, made them the hundreds.
Survival gave way to culture. With security came the luxury of beauty, art, adornment, and a new...
And these stories, once thought lost to the mists of time, are being rediscovered, unearthed from the frozen...
In Ukraine and across the Mammoth Steppe, archaeologists have found the stunning evidence, the very bones of their hunters.
And in the microscopic scratches on the bone, a story is told. A story of a steady hand,
The Mammoth Pitfall was not just a trap for a beast. It was the foundation of a civilization, a quantum leap in human ingenuity.
The story of their great hunt, painted in firelight, was more than a memory.
It was the ability to see not just what is, but what could be. The unique human spark of seeing a solution.
That same spark has carried us from the Ice Age cave to the steel canyons of the 21st century.
The fundamental principles born in that frozen valley are the same ones we use today. Understanding the simple lever that moved a boulder for their trap now lifts our cities into the sky. The scale has changed, but the genius of the... And at the heart of every great feat of engineering, from the Mammoth Pit to the moon landing, lies the ability to share a goal, to trust in the specialized skills of others, to work as a single, intelligent, and unified entity.
This is the legacy of the Mammoth Hunters. Not just their tools or their food, but their spirit of relentless adaptability.
A spirit of resilience, of strategic thinking, and of profound courage in the face of overwhelming odds and a world of giants.
It is a call to appreciate the incredible intelligence, the breathtaking resilience, and the deep communal spirit